Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Wednesday, September the 2nd, 2020. I am Bob Northwell with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has given the assurance that students and teachers island-wide will be given masks for the reopening of schools on Monday, September the 7th, 2020 to safeguard against COVID-19. On radio today, PM Gonsalves said 3 or more than 100,000 masks are to be distributed to primary and secondary schools, and that preschools are also included, even though it might be a challenge for them.
I'm advised to the children in the preschool, that's going to be a particular challenge. Clearly, children between the ages of 3 and under 5. But the masks will be distributed to students, teachers, school security personnel, and janitorial staff. We have masks to give to every child. The aim is to give every student in the primary, secondary, post-secondary should get from the schools at least 2 and possibly 3 masks.
The protocols highly recommends that students wear the mask on public transportation. However, they would not be worn in schools, as schools are considered a bubble.
You come out and you're walking from the public transport to the school, you keep your mask on. When you reach inside of the school, the school is a bubble. So you take off your mask. You're not expected, and it's not recommended that you wear your mask during the day in the school. When you come out, if you're going to lunch, you put on your mask if you're walking down the road. Obviously, it helps if you have something to eat right at the school. And then when you leave school on afternoons, going back to the public transport, as you come out the gate, you put on your mask. On the school gate, you walk on the road, you go on your public transport, you keep your mask on. When you reach home, you take it off.
As it regards to thermometers to check for temperatures, PM Gonsalves said that they have been ordered and will be distributed to schools.
By the end of this week, they're going to have about over 1,500 thermometers. They have 657 ones, touchless thermometers in stock. And before the 4th, which is 4th is when Friday, yes. They'll have another 878 in their hands. They're at various different points, but they'll have them in their hand.
Meanwhile, President of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, is questioning whether social and physical distancing have been removed from SVG's COVID-19 protocols. At a press conference yesterday, Robinson said that it would be very difficult for teachers and students to practice social and physical distancing when they return to the school on Monday.
We question whether social gathering or social distancing, whether that is out of the window. We know that the National Committee that deals with COVID, mentioned that for indoor gathering should be about 200.
200.
Not exceeding 200.
200. No, not exceeding 200.
Right. And some schools have already passed that number. But you don't want the schools to observe social distancing. Probably St. Vincent is exempted. That is something for I don't know if the Ministry of Health instructed the Ministry of Education about that. If that social distancing would have been removed from the list of the protocols. We need to know that.
Robinson noted that some schools have over 200 students, which is exceeding the requirements for indoor gathering. He said while wearing a mask is a good initiative, there are teachers and students with respiratory and other health problems, which can cause complications by wearing masks, and this must be taken into serious consideration.
That is a real issue. You leave schools, you go back in the community, and there is no observance of social gathering. There's no wearing of mask. And I made that point earlier when I quoted the medical officer saying people doing things taking things for granted. You know? And you do not know who have this virus. You do not know. In Barbados have a model. Once you go into school, everybody must wear masks. But you know you have problems with masks, where in some people, you can't breathe properly. The people who have respiratory issues, you know. There are persons who, when you wear the mask and you breathe it, makes your lens get cloudy. Wearing the mask, there are teachers who have problems with that also. When the children speak, you can't hear clearly what they say, and vice versa. So there are issues. And then that is why some of the guidelines said face shields. But that's another expense. Who gonna?
The SVG Teachers Union president also noted that teachers will not be able to monitor all students, ensuring they follow the hygiene protocols.
Because it is very difficult and complicated for our teachers to manage students at school. When they come out for break time, for lunch time. And we need to remind the authorities, you know, because under the labor code, the teachers have an hour for lunch.
They're entitled to their lunch.
So you're going to force the teachers and tell them stay there to monitor children during the lunch hour? That's why I kept saying, you know, the people do not get it yet. That the teacher is a worker. And workers have rights. And here is where the teachers union comes in, to protect the rights of our teachers and to remind the authorities of the various pieces of laws and conventions which they would have signed on to. Because you can't ratify something and then when it comes to implementation, you're doing your own thing. It doesn't work.
Also of concern for the teachers union is for teachers to conduct temperature checks on students. President Robinson said it is a vexing issue and their members are not obligated to conduct these checks, maintaining that it should be done by health professionals. Meanwhile, parents have been encouraged to provide the necessary support to their children as they prepare to return to the classroom amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. This encouragement comes from Ward Manager at the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center, Melissa Stowe, as she highlighted the many ways parents can assist their children cope during the pandemic. Sister Stowe said some children do not have the same coping mechanisms as adults and encouraged parents to provide them with the assurance and accurate information.
Can we support our children during this unprecedented crisis? One, we need to provide safety. Ensure that our children have relevant, accurate information from respectable sources, reputable sources. Ensure that they know the safety rules, such as social distancing, wearing of your face mask, washing of your hands, not sharing utensils with other children at school, and generally following the guidelines set out by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education.
Stowe said allowing children to express themselves and showing them care can also go a long way to help them cope.
Enforce the lockdown protocol, yes, but let them know that this is something that the entire world is experiencing and we can all get through it together. So just offer them that support. Ensure that they engage in activities that are fun, such as art, decorating, cooking.
It has also been recommended that children wear masks en route to school. Sister Stowe said it is important for parents to assist their children in getting accustomed to wearing these masks.
Information is very important. Read to them, let them know the reasons why it is important for them to wear the face mask, and let them start practicing now while they're at home so that it will be second nature to them. They will get accustomed to it. right? They're children and they learn what is modeled.
And head of the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center, Dr. Elizabeth Medford, said just one phone call can do a lot to improve the mental health of the patients there. In an interview with SVG-TV News, Dr. Medford made an appeal for family members to do what they can to keep in touch with those at the center. Dr. Medford said there have been some changes to the visiting hours at the center due to COVID-19, and as such, the patients are not able to receive all the human interaction they need. She said one phone call can make a huge difference.
We are asking the family members and friends of our patients here at Mental Health. We are undergoing changes with our visiting time. Visiting time is now minimized. The amount of persons are minimized. Also, the religious activities that we had, those are also put on hold, all because of the protocol. But we do not want our patient to feel abandoned or neglected or alone or not loved. So we're asking family members kindly to stay in touch with your family members, friends. Stay in touch with the patients here at Mental Health Rehabilitation Center, and you can do this just simply making a telephone call. Even if it's one call a week, it will go a very long way for the patient to feel that they're still loved and they still belong.
Dr. Medford said simple gifts would also go a long way in helping the patients feel loved and appreciated.
Or maybe on any special day, any given day, you can just pick like one flowers, send it in for them with a little note. Things like that will go a very long way to help the patient not to feel that they are being neglected or abandoned at this time as we go through this COVID pandemic. So we are appealing, please, the family members and friends of patients here, still stay in touch, still call and talk with them, chat when you call, chat about nice things that will keep them happy and maintain that relationship as we go through this COVID pandemic.
Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago has been listed as high-risk countries for COVID-19 by local authorities. The two countries join Haiti, which is already on the high-risk list. Speaking on radio this morning, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said that the travel protocol had to be revised for the two countries due to the spike in COVID-19 cases recorded recently. He explained what is expected once a country is listed as high risk.
They are coming from Trinidad and Tobago. You will have to bring a PCR COVID-19 test negative. If you have a positive, don't travel. And when you arrive, you're going to have to do a PCR test. And then you're put in a quarantine, not in your home, but in a hotel approved by either the tourism authorities or the Ministry of Health. And in 4 or 5 days, while you're there, between that time, you'll be tested again.
The United Kingdom is also listed on SVG's high risk of countries. In there, 3 CARICOM countries listed in the medium risk category, namely Guyana, Suriname, and Belize. Taiwan and Canada are also included in the medium risk category. There are different protocols for this group of countries.
So what you'll have to do, you'll have to come with a negative PCR test done no more than 5 days before your arrival, and you'll be retested when you come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But instead of doing 5 days in a hotel, you will do 48 to 72 hours at home to await clearance. And you will be under an order which has the force of the court order, the order issued by the medical authorities. And after that, after you await the clearance, the Ministry of Health, the Port Health Officer may well say that you do for the 14 days quarantine, depending on all the circumstances.
PM Gonzalez said there is continuous assessment of the changes taking place globally when it comes to COVID-19. The protocols, he said, will continue to be revised accordingly. Cabinet is said to have given the green light for the start of operation of SVG's first cannabis pharmacy. This follows approval of the first cannabis dispensing license. According to a news release from the SVG Medicinal Cannabis Authority, this means that the company can now procure and dispense medicinal cannabis products legally in the country. The SVG Medicinal Cannabis Authority said the milestone is but one of several achieved in the local medicinal cannabis industry so far for 2020, despite the challenges of COVID-19. The company, Green Lava SVG Inc., which has been granted the first cannabis dispensing license, was said to be among the first entities to receive the approval of Cabinet for a medicinal cannabis license on July 10, 2019. After making the requisite investments to implement the stipulated security and operational requirements, Green Lava officially launched operations on November 15, 2019. The company currently has a staff complement of over 20 persons involved in medicinal cannabis production at its 15-acre farm in Queensbury, Vermont. With the gazetting of the Patient Access to Medicinal Cannabis regulations by the government on May 6, 2020, Green Lava is expected to further roll out its business model with the establishment of a pharmacy to produce medicinal cannabis products to persons with qualifying medical conditions. The Medical Cannabis Authority said Green Lava has signed agreements with 2 local traditional cultivator groups to procure raw cannabis products from their farm to make available in its dispensary. A fire gutted an abandoned 2-story house in Kingston Park last evening and scorched its immediate environs. One resident who has a shop nearby the fire stated sometime between 5:30 and 6 p.m. while stating that he is grateful that his shop was not damaged even though the heat damaged his internet box.
We came outside and there was smoke coming out from the house, and before we knew it there was flames. And so all I could have done is wet the side of my house, and because the heat was really bad. It's an old house, so once it started burning, there was plenty heat. So I wet the side of my house, and while somebody else called the fire truck, and when they came, they handled the fire. But there was a lot of flames. It was really hot. So the heat melted the box here, the top of the internet box, and a couple of PVC fixtures on the house. You could see the brown mark on the white PVC down there, and it melted this here off the wire, the chunking cover. The heat did all of that. The heat was so high, it swinged the plumber's tree, as you can see. All the brown leaves, that was from the heat, from the fire. The banana trees, that was from, you notice at the bottom, those leaves still green, it didn't do nothing down there.
The residents said that the fire at the house burnt for close to an hour before it was put out.
Yeah, you could argue that it's an old building and it's nothing to be saved, but I thought they could have been here faster. I don't know if it has to do with the communication of people having to verify before they actually leave the station. If the information is true, I don't know what all this about, but they take too long to get to fires. And I'm really sorry to say this about the fire department. You like to support your community, but look where the fire station is from here. You could actually stay in town and see the fire. Somebody did a shot at Bishop's College Road and you see the whole fire from straight down there. They should have been in faster. So, but like we say, it's an old building, so in this case there's nothing to save. In another instance there might be something that needs saving or somebody's life. So the response time is something we got to work on in St. Vincent. I don't know what process involves there that we need to improve.